Hello, I'm Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian. Welcome to my high-impact vlog, so called because of the enormously high impact it has on the cultural conversation. This week I want to talk about Greyhound, an old-fashioned World War II film starring and written by Tom Hanks.
I'll always be looking for you, Evie, even if I'm 1,000 miles away.
Air escort to Greyhound. You will now be out of range of air cover for the next 5 days. How many crossings does this make?
This was my first.
I got some.
Most likely a U-boat.
He's trying to slip under us! Fire!
Greyhound is a film that could have been made at any time in the last 70 years. Hanks has in fact adapted the 1955 novel The Good Shepherd by C.S. Forester, who wrote the Hornblower books. He wrote the original book on which the film The African Queen, with Katharine Hepburn and Humphrey Bogart, was based. And he also wrote for the screen a number of propaganda movies during World War II itself. Tom Hanks is these days finding that he rather suits the military or quasi-military uniform of a much-loved authority figure, such as in Captain Phillips, or Sully, or Saving Private Ryan, or Apollo 13. For all that this is such an old-fashioned wartime film about the Battle of the Atlantic, it's quite an expressionistic drama in some ways, in that it's mostly confined to the bridge, with Captain Tom Hanks barking his opaque naval orders about the place, and it's mostly therefore confined to his claustrophobic, troubled mind. It is a bit corny, and it's a film which does rather behave as if the whole anti-war tradition of literature and movies never happened, but it is enjoyable. The other film I want to talk about this week is a rather extraordinary documentary called Spaceship Earth by Matt Wolf.
We were the first biosphereans.
How can you prepare yourself for a journey into the unknown?
A biosphere is a closed system with plants and animals and the atmospheres all inside. We called it Biosphere 2 because Biosphere 1 is the Earth.
If we're going to go to Mars and the Moon, we better know how to make a biosphere.
Climate change is a threat. We were trying to counteract that threat.
We put in a rainforest, a desert, and an ocean with a living coral reef.
It was a global curiosity. 8 human beings separated from life.
I don't know any innovative human organization that doesn't have cult-like aspects.
This film tells the extraordinary story of how in the late 60s and early 70s, a commune/cult leader called John P. Allen was running a collective ranch somewhere in New Mexico, and one of his devoted followers was a rebellious young billionaire called Ed Bass, who offered to put at Allen's disposal some of his family's oil money so he could build one of Allen's most cherished private projects, a complete, enclosed eco-biodome, a protected replication of planet Earth's environment, which could be used as a kind of forward expeditionary base for colonizing other planets. After a huge amount of wrangling, this finally happened in 1991. The biosphere was built in Arizona, and to the fascination and derision of the world's press, a couple of dozen biospherians in special uniforms trooped inside, rather like astronauts getting on board a spaceship, swearing that they would not leave for 2 years. Now, I had no idea about any of this, and if you'd have told me beforehand that it was all just a docu-spoof, I think I would have believed you, and I would have believed you for an interesting reason. The biospherians were clearly inspired at some level, although the documentary doesn't talk about it that much, by one of my favourite films, the 1972 Douglas Trumbull sci-fi classic Silent Running, starring Bruce Dern as the oddball lone astronaut, whose job it is to look after a biodome precisely like this, which has been launched into space.
Fields of children running wild in the sun, like a forest is your child, growing wild in the sun.
The voice of Joan Baez there. Everybody talks about dystopia, but Silent Running is, in its rather dark way, genuinely about the possibilities of a utopia. The biosphere was itself a very utopian project, and watching this film, of course, you're waiting for the inevitable descent into Lord of the Flies chaos and anarchy, and that sort of happens and sort of doesn't. But when it does happen, it happens in a very startling and unusual way, and it introduces us to a very, very familiar villain. Spaceship Earth is a fascinating true story. Thank you so much for watching this vlog, and thank you so much for your comments, which I always try to read and try to respond to. Please give this vlog a like and a share on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Please buy a newspaper, particularly this one, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. Please, please, please subscribe.